Hey everyone, in this video we're going to talk about for loops and for each loops in C++. I hope you guys learned something new. If you have any questions or any recommendations for improvement, please let me know in the comments. If you do learn something new, please go ahead and subscribe and like. Thank you. Enjoy the video. Hi guys, welcome back again to another one of my videos. Today we're going to talk about the for loops in C++ and the range-based for loops, which are also known as the for each loops in C++. We're going to see how we can use both of these to iterate over a for loop, however many times you specify, and to perform a certain action. The first example that I have for you all here is this one. So in the for loop, as you can see, there's three things going on. There's the initialization of the counter variable, which we have as I. There's the condition here in the middle, which is basically it keeps the loop iterating just as long as that condition remains true. And then this is what happens at the very end of the for loop. The counter variable is changed in some way. In our case, it is incremented, it is increased by 1. But this is a really simple for loop. As you can see, we're just printing out the console, we're printing out the value, and we're skipping over to the next line. So if we were to run this, what we should get, since we have a counter that starts at 0, it should print out 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's see if this is working correctly. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like it's working perfectly. So some things to mention is that in one of the previous videos, I told you all that the while loop uh, isn't best suited for when you already know how many iterations that you want to do. Instead, it's recommended that you use the for loop. And that's what we're doing here. So we already know that the for loop, we want to increment exactly 5 times. So that's why we have this I less than 5, less than 5. Just a really simple example so that you can see what's going on. Some other differences uh, with the while loop is that in the while loop, the iteration is happening actually. It's actually within the block of code in the while loop, and the initialization of the counter variable is before the while loop. But unlike the while loop in this for loop, you can see that all that both of those two things I just mentioned are actually within the for parentheses. So let me go ahead and show you a second example here. Let me comment this out. And I just have these all in the same file for simplicity. So let me go ahead and comment this out, and I'll show you the second example. So in the second example, let's say that we have a condition that we want the count variable to be less than or equal to 50. So it can be less than 50 or it can be 50. That's what this comparison operator means here. It can be less than or it can be equal to. Let's say each time this for loop goes around at the end, we increment the count variable by 1, and again, it's starting at 0. And we're just printing out the number that count is currently set to. And once this for loop is fully executed, once it's exited it, we're going to print out just a statement that you have counted to 50. So let's see if this works correctly. Let's see. So it starts out at 0, counts up to 49 and 50 because we said less than or equal to 50. And then it prints out you have counted to 50. So it looks like that's working perfectly. Let's go ahead and show the next example. So the other example that I have here for you all is something that's called a range-based loop, or sometimes it's referred to as a for each loop. Basically, what it's going to allow you to do is to iterate over some type of container. So let's say an array, a set, a vector, a list, something of that nature. It's going to allow you to basically iterate over that, over each value inside of that container and to perform some type of action. In this, the first example that I have for you, I just have a simple array here. I've titled it number array. I've given it values 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. And basically I'm saying for every value inside of this array, I just want to print at the console and then skip over to the next line. So it's a pretty simple example. But as you can see, it's different from the for loop because inside the parentheses, you don't really need much information. You don't have to initialize a counter variable. You don't have to set a condition, and you don't have to do any explicit incrementation inside of that parentheses. Instead, you're just going to be signifying the data type that's inside of that container, and you're going to be just giving a placeholder variable name. Then you're going to put a colon and the actual name of the container that we're going to be iterating over. So let's go ahead and build this. Let's run it and let's see if it's working correctly. 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. So it looks like it is working correctly. As you can see, this is printed out every single value inside of that array, 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. So let me show you one more example of this. Let me go ahead and comment this out. All right, so in the last example I have for you all, this is going to be another for each loop. But this time, instead of iterating over an array, we're going to be iterating over a vector. So in this example, I have a vector here. I've named it number vector. And inside the vector, I've just put 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And I'm doing the same thing that we did in the last for each example. We're just printing them to console and then skipping to the next line. But let's see if this works correctly. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it looks like it is working correctly. I hope that gave you guys just a brief introduction on for loops and for each loops in C++. If you guys learned anything new, I ask that you subscribe and like. If you have any recommendations for improvements or suggestions for future videos, please let me know. Thank you. Have a good day.